let's go from, simple to abstract. That's what we thought. But in some senses, and you said this earlier, it's like the more we look out into the universe, the more we look back from time, right? You're funking time up with all your creations, now as a billionaire, and you're punking time. And that's something quite special about that. It leaves me quite rather hopeful. A lot of us these days, when we talk about intersectionality, identity, we talk about our positionality as researchers, but also as digital users in the terms of agreement, for example. What are we agreeing with, right? It takes time to get it to space. It takes some space, i.e. your mailbox and the spam, to get that access to time, to more things and more access. I just want to kind of recap. Matt, you said earlier that things are happening too fast, right? That you did say, I wrote it down. Take my word for it. And we end up with this little, what would you call it, imbroglio, or rather this little mushy thing that we don't really know. Should we binarize it? Should we keep it together? What is time? What is space? Is it a timely place? And perhaps that is it, like Nathan's workshop earlier about the magic circle, or rather the virtual space, right? It's not exactly work. It's not exactly home. Home is where you have that space for yourself. Work is where you clock in your time. But between these two spaces, work and home, it's that timely space. What do we do with our time? What can we make with that space, right? And maybe perhaps that is what nostalgia is about. Boyne talks about how, to conclude, nostalgia is what you do with memory. Because remembering is not enough. Technology may be great. It might be, it might get us that instantaneous thing. But at the end of the day, we have to return back to our time. Our space is just who we are. We name things, we categorize things, as we've seen today. Technology can't get there. We can't go far beyond. We shouldn't be looking or working towards anything, because what we're getting to is our imagination. It starts and ends with us. That is where chronophobia comes from. That sense of wanting to make do with that time. It ends and starts here, not anywhere else. No need for a circle, a playground, or a cemetery, perhaps, of your memories. That is important today for all of us, because it affects every single one of us now and after, as it has affected all of our ancestors, all of our friends, families before. And so, perhaps if that's what you get from it today, this is it. That is contemporary nostalgia. Boyne wrote this book in 2001, and like I said again, I urge you at the end of this symposium just to pick up that book and check out, my, what do you call it? Keybinds? What do you call those things? I don't know. I keep looking to you, Michael. Post-its, And check the red one. Page 531 is probably the most important page I've read as a person in academic thus far. You want to check that page out. So if it's all too fast, as we have done today, there's all these things we could do, all these practice-based things. Why don't we slow it down? Really get back to that gist of chronophobia as a disease, as they call it, back then when they used to cure nostalgia with leeches. We're lucky enough to have Christian Seltzer, our very own at Concordia. He is a neuroscientist, works at the Loyola campus. And when I first contacted Christian with help of Leo here, I thought he was going to do a workshop of, let's talk about the brain, let's get your stencil up. If you're nostalgic about this, color it in red. If you're nostalgic about this, color in blue. Oh, the amygdala does that, corpus callosum, McDonald's, etc., whatever. I don't know. He said, no, we have to step back. I'm not using any objects. I'm not using anything. It's all in here within. The seeking of an object leads to the finding of another. Freud said that. It doesn't end. That possibility keeps going, because there's this reflective nostalgia of mourning, and there's this restorative nostalgia, which promises us a land with a price of $9.99 with tax. It doesn't get us anywhere, because we didn't need to go anywhere. We're here. That's what matters. That's what the present is, the future present. Thinking forward with what has come before. Perhaps that is it. That's all we can do. So keep an eye out for that. That's happening Saturday, March 18th. And for this event, you should bring your object. So Christian said to bring an object that you're really nostalgic about, something that means something much to you. But there's a condition. That thing has to be the oldest thing that you have in your household or your attic. So the most nostalgic thing and the most oldest thing you own. Bring it to this workshop. We will publish it on our Eventbrite and our Twitter as well. So keep that on your sites. It's probably going to happen next door, and it's going to be half day. So perhaps that's something you could explore. Until then, here we are again back to the beginning. We haven't gone anywhere, really. And Sharon and I have been very grateful that you all kindly indulged in our activity, because we asked you to write nostalgic moments, both on the digital wall, which you can on your way out to have a look, and analogically. That's a word, that is one, because I think we have a little trend here of coining terms with nostalgia, for example. Can I get 4 volunteers? Anyone feeling like they want to do something?
Oh, may I?
Yep.